In Genesis chapter 16, we read a story of two individuals who decide to take it upon themselves to help God, right? So Abraham and Sarah, they have been given a promise. They are told that they're going to have a child, that the seed of this child would multiply as the sands of the sea, the stars of the sky. But something isn't right. They're getting old, right? Sarah is up in age. Abraham is up in her age. So they conspire, and Sarah says, you know what? I'm past the age to give birth to children, so take my handmaid. She's younger. Hagar is able to bear children for you. So Abraham, you go and lay with Hagar, and she will give you a seed. Well, what happens is that she does get pregnant. She does produce a child, and that Ishmael is born. But God's like, this is not the promise I made you. I told you that Sarah would be the mother and you would be the father. And so there ends up being a point where Sarah does get pregnant at 90 years of age and she gives birth to a child. Then what does this do? This causes controversy because Sarah is now jealous of Ishmael and she doesn't want her maidservant's child around anymore. So what do? They kick him out. Get out of here. My child is the promised one. Your child is not. We need you out. So they kick her out of the family. But you know, well, the thing that I want to talk about is that a lot of times in the lives of believers that we feel like we have to help God. That there's no way that he can get it done unless we step in, unless we give him some advice, unless we make things happen on our own. We're proactive. God helps those who help themselves. So we're going to step forward and we're going to make it happen. We're going to be sure that this gets done and what God has promised takes place in our lives. You know that me and Shauna has done this in our life before. There was a point in our life, young married couple, that God had spoke to us and told us that he was going to bless us through the stock market and the coal industry. So what did Shauna and I do? We did what any normal person would do. We decided that we were going to help God. We knew exactly what he wanted us to do, so we took a bunch of money and invested it in the stock market in the coal industry. We lost every bit of that money. All of it. Gone. Never to see again. We lost that money because we was trying to do God a favor and push him along and make it happen. Well, later on in our lives, in our adult lives, it turns out that God blessed us through the stock market and the coal industry, and Shauna actually worked for a company that was stock market information, and she did for years, and she was blessed financially. And then here I am. I'm 16 years into working in the mining industry when it was not even on my radar at the time God spoke this to us. I was working in higher education at Marshall University, and two jobs later, here I am 16 years into a coal industry, and God continues to bless us through the coal industry. And you know, I think about that, and I think about, man, what if we would have just waited? At very least, we wouldn't have lost a lot of money, but we would have put our faith in God, allowed him to work through the situation and circumstances. Even if it took a while, wait on him. Let him get it done. We don't need to be like Abraham and Sarah. You don't need to be like Pete and Shauna. What you need to do is that when God has spoke something to you and you know that it's from the Lord and you know it's going to happen, sit back and let him work things out. You know what? You may have to wait a while. Shauna and I had to wait 15 years into our marriage before we received a child that we was promised of God. And Jeremiah come along. And you know, during that time frame, we had many options to go to doctors for fertility and different things and adoption. But we just said, you know what? We're going to put it in God's hands. We're going to wait. We're going to let God take care of this situation. And he did. And 15 years after our marriage, Jeremiah shows up. And then Judah shows up. And now Anna. Now we have 3 children. Here we are in our mid-40s with 3 children below the age of 7. So we waited. We let God take care of it. In your life, you may be waiting on something. You may be thinking, I've got to do something. I've got to help God. I've got to push this along. But just remember, God has it under control. He will come through. He has never let us down. He will never let us down. He will not lie to us, and he will not forsake us. So just put it in God's hands. So remind you going forward, hey, there's 4 things a disciple of Jesus Christ does every day. You seek to encounter God, you exalt God, you edify yourself by reading the Word of God, and by all means, engage this world for Jesus Christ. Tell them how wonderful he is. Until next time, God bless you.